I looked in the mirror and told myself I was gay, the greatest as you, because I'm about that gyat, getting yourself ahead through tenacity.
The fact he's just used the word aura and
He's-
you're all saying it just says how brain dead you are.
What was your mind at when you typed when you
I
created?
think what he's trying to say is that is the worst poem I think I've ever heard.
You might be wondering why I'm performing crazy poetry like this, which leads to this moment.
Every day was gloomy. I never said ka-chow, which is his catchphrase.
And eventually this in-person erotic poetry performance that's crazier than anything I could ever expect.
This is also, I think, my first opening, so I'm nervous.
You're not nervous. You're not nervous.
I'm gonna read this.
Well, basically to catch you up on things, earlier this year I trolled a producer contest and the reaction was insane. However, there was one comment that stuck out to me. Well, that kind of lit a fire under my ass, because if I could troll people with rap lyrics and a producer contest, could I do the same with a poetry contest? My strategy here was basically to see if I could perform the worst poems ever with the most confidence and be celebrated. And truthfully, even though I was trolling, I was secretly doing this to run away from a specific piece of paper that will reveal the true reason why I did this whole thing at the end of this video. And as we get through this video, the poems will only get crazier and the pressure will only get higher. So buckle up, we're in for a ride. Does anyone say that anymore? And I want to add this, even though I'm a YouTuber and I talk crazy, like super loud, extrovert or whatever, this was not easy for me to do. I'm a people pleaser. So going out in actual environments with the final one being public and doing this was scary to me. Anyway, let's move on to our first poem. This was a Brainrot poem, so basically I made a normal poem and shoved a bunch of Brainrot words in there and tried to see if people would notice. The goal of this was to see if I could put this together and perform it with confidence and people would buy it, even though it's just a bunch of Brainrot put together. But confidence is key, and you'll see that later in this video. I decided to enter a free poetry mic online, and this happened.
In every heartbeat, my symphony moves. I looked in the mirror and told myself I was gay, the greatest as you. I didn't take the traditional path. Most were astonished. But did the man who invented college ever go to college? Sticking with my morals for all of those who know me. Going up the ladder, but I don't snake my homies. My faith will take me far, believing in what's holy. They used to laugh at me when I started. Ha ha. Because I wasn't with their Riz, rolling in Zaza. Wasn't phased by their bank, like phase banks I have no fear. Cause I am about my aura, achieving until results appear.
At this moment, I ran into a heckler who did not like the poem, and he made sure to let me know.
It's appear.
Absolute little paedophile. You touch little girls in your free time, don't you?
He's back.
Sit there.
My faith will take me far, believing in what's holy. I believe in G-O-D, don't believe in T-H-O-T. They used to laugh at me when I started. Ha ha. Because I wasn't with their Riz, rolling in Zaza. Wasn't phased by their bank like phase banks I have no fear. Cause I'm about my aura, achieving until results appear. Chasing what I had to be. Ain't nobody matching me, cause I'm about that gyat. Getting yourself ahead through tenacity. Chasing the biggest dreams, I don't want something less, but at the same time I find enlightenment in nothingness.
Hey now, all right.
I absolutely love that piece. I'm gonna give you an acronym that I think you'll like. The word success, S-U-C-C-E-S-S, showing up consistently changes every single struggle.
I thought it was cool how you took acronyms and more like casual language and incorporated it in a format that's traditionally been pretty hostile to that kind of language. Thank you for doing that.
Appreciate.
The fact he's just used the word aura and
He's-
you're all saying it just says how brain dead you are.
He's back.
Oh my god.
It's the same guy.
The part that got me about your poem when you said whoever invented college probably didn't even go.
I don't want to sound rude, but I guess I was just trying to understand where was your mind at when you typed when you
I
created
think what
this?
he's trying to say is that that is the worst poem I think I've ever heard. Because seriously, I mean, how brain dead are you?
Well, I was just like I said, I was trying to kind of understand the inspiration, where his mind was at when he produced it. Um, I was interested. It was interesting.
Well, I guess interesting does perfectly describe this poem because some people did like it, but other people like that English guy despised it. But the next poetry contest upped the stakes just a little bit. If I'm being honest with you, I don't know how to explain the concept of this next poem, but basically, I tried to make a poem where half of it was about dark thoughts that I've gone through and really vulnerable things that I experienced, and the other half was random facts about Lightning McQueen. But the catch of this is these halves were jumbled in between each other, so you couldn't tell where the next line was going. Now, instead of doing a free poetry mic, I looked for a paid poetry mic because I wanted to up the stakes a little bit. Now, this one was definitely harder than the last one because A, I had to be vulnerable about real feelings that I've experienced in the past, and B, I had to say Lightning McQueen facts without cracking up and going insane, and this was the result.
I used to feel like Lightning McQueen, happily free and racing. But now I feel like Lightning McQueen, coming to a halt and crashing. I experienced my first depression in 2021. I wanted to end my life in 2019. Lightning McQueen is voiced by Owen Wilson. Wow. I had to get through my loneliness in college with no assurance. Does Lightning McQueen need car insurance or life insurance? Insecure about my height, my skin, my eyebrows. Every day was gloomy. I never said ka-chow, which is his catchphrase. Ka-chow! I never thought it would get better. My vision sucked. Lightning McQueen is a 7-time winner of the Piston Cup. Eyes on me all the time, they were watching me, hated who I was honestly. Lightning McQueen's first name is Montgomery. I just needed to get out of the dark place. I needed something. Vroom vroom, Lightning McQueen is coming. To get out of this dark place was more than a large feat. Why does Lightning McQueen have a tongue if he doesn't eat? I wanted to take my life. Just to stay alike. But I knew that doing that would not pay the price. So I could face my fears, I chose to face the mic. With everything I wrote to you, I finally could make it right.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It was wonderful, and I think it's always when people reveal that they have maybe some nerves about something. We want this to be such a supportive place and kind of G you on. So I hope that it's been a good experience sharing your work.
Thank you so much. I'm nervous, honestly. Thank you so much for being supportive, though. I appreciate it.
No, it was great, and it's nerve-wracking for everyone. I think I've an inherent distrust of anyone who doesn't feel a little bit nervous when they're performing for people.
At this point, I feel like I tested my skill within the poetry audience, but there was one thing missing, and I didn't realize what that thing was until I stumbled across a very unique event on Eventbrite. Now, my first thought was, hell no, why would I perform at an erotic poetry contest when I have nothing to offer in that area? Exactly. Because I have no experience with erotic poetry, this is the exact place to test my skills and, more importantly, confidence. Because I was scared. This was not only an erotic poetry event, but this was in person, meaning I have to go up to people and say this stupid-ass poem with confidence. And I want to make this very clear. This was the hardest thing I could ever do. I've trolled rap contests. I've trolled producer contests. I've even trolled poetry contests at this point. But doing something in person is a whole new level of confidence that I didn't think I had the courage to do. I'd have to drive to San Francisco alone, end up in a venue, perform this, and hope I don't get booed off stage or even beat up. But in order for this to be even crazier, I had to remove one aspect I had in the other two situations. which is control. What if I had no control over the actual thing I was saying? So I gave some ideas to an erotic poet on Fiverr, and they gave me a poem that I would have to read. Now, with all things considered, this might be the craziest thing I've committed to doing, but I bought that $40 ticket. And when the day of the event came, I started my drive. Now, when I actually got there, I didn't get footage of the people there because I wanted to be respectful, but let me paint the picture. There's 3 things you need to know. A, everyone there was in their mid-30s to 50s. I'm 22 years old, so I'm already out of place. 2, everyone there was in a relationship and brought their significant other. And again, I came single, so I'm out of place again. And 3, these were the wildest poems I have ever heard in my entire life. I didn't get clips of the specific poems, but I'm gonna play some erotic poems on YouTube so you have an idea of what I experienced.
The way it gathers and swells, sucking each rock under, swallowing it again and again. We were all watching.
Or what if I lick you right there? To the spot that was burning hot for my wet tongue. Would you lose control and get sprung on the love that I be making? Have you shaking and aching for the pleasures of a player?
And my breasts tingled the way they did when my milk came in after the birth.
And I have to say this, much respect to everyone involved. This is not to discredit the art form at all. I'm just saying that this was out of my place and out of my comfort zone. But I already made a promise and booked a ticket and drove to San Francisco, so I had to follow through on what I was doing. And I spent a couple hours hearing all these crazy poems until the event was about to end, but they had one open mic. I raised my hand trying to get a spot, and it finally came to my turn.
Y'all give it up for Rohan.
This nigga named Rohan. He about to get it. This is also, I think, my first open mic, so I'm nervous.
You're not nervous. Don't be nervous.
I'm gonna read this. The first glance, it began like the low hum of an idling engine, a quiet vibration beneath the ribs, steady, patient, as if the heart knew that something fast was coming. You walked into the room like you owned the air itself. Not loud, not showy, just moving in that way that makes people stop mid-sentence without even knowing why. Just like that. Your aura wasn't a thing you wore. It was the thing that happened to people when they looked at you too long. The moment our eyes locked, I swear I felt the starter flag drop. Like Lightning McQueen on the grid, cocky and coiled, knowing the race was already his, but this was no race. This was a collision course. Something about you made me want to be reckless, to take the ton without breaking, to taste the kind of danger you only understand once you've survived it. Lightning McQueen didn't just race for trophies, he raced for the rush, for that addictive moment where the world blurs and nothing exists but forward. And there you were, leaning just enough that your shadow brushed mine. This was aura as an art form. I took you in like headlights piercing the night fog, the slow tilt of your smile, the confidence curled around your posture. You touched me again, this time not a graze, but a deliberate, dragging motion along my arm. You're in my lane now. And I was. God, I was. Every muscle in my body was tuned to your frequency, every breath sinking to your rhythm. You didn't need to be loud because your Riz worked in silence, making the rest of the world irrelevant. And she said, you're insane, you're in pain. I can tell by what you're saying, but my bad. I forgot you were fragile. I forgot someone who doesn't even know me told you I'm an asshole. I forgot that I'm the villain. I forgot that I always spread positivity, but you think I didn't. I forgot that hatred stems from people who hate their own existence. I forgot I'm better off alone. I forgot I care for everyone's happiness, but forget about my own. I forgot I spend every waking second on my phone. Ha ha ha. Come and join my circus, I'm a queer. Ka-chow, you whispered, but this time it wasn't funny, it was filthy, it was a promise. And I knew this wasn't the foreplay in the traditional sense. This was you revving my engine to the exact pitch you wanted, keeping me in that perfect, unbearable gear until you decided to shift. Ka-chow, you breathed again, low, hot, and filthy enough to make my whole body tense. There was no going back now. The track was clear, the engines were screaming, and we were already in the final lap. This wasn't about winning, this was about finishing together at full speed. And I realized you were still watching me. Eyes are soft now, but with that same spark that had hooked me from across the room. The Riz was still there, but stripped of his armor. This wasn't the aura you showed the world, this was the aura you gave me. And I knew there would be more races, more heat, more nights when the engines roared and the track blurred under our speed. We didn't speak, we didn't have to. The story was already written in the taste of your mouth, the pressure of your hand, and the pulse in my neck that still beat to the rhythm you set. The race was over, but the ride was forever. Good job. All right.
Okay, that was very interesting, a lot to break down. It was super out of my comfort zone. I damn near was shaking when I performed it, but everybody was super nice and congratulated me when I got down. It felt really good to conquer my fears in that moment and do something I never thought I would do in my entire life. And as I said before, everyone there was super nice and supportive, and it showed me a newfound respect for a new type of art form I normally wouldn't have visited or looked at. But something didn't feel complete. Like, even though I performed this, it wasn't my own lyrics. It wasn't my own vulnerability doing. It was a different type of, fear to perform it because I wasn't in control, but the vulnerability wasn't up like in the other cases. And then it hit me. When it comes to using comedy or all these other things to mask vulnerability, I realized one thing I was scared of more than anything, which was true vulnerability without comedy. I've used comedy in my whole career, in my whole life, to be this thing that eases the situation and makes it more convenient, less scary to perform. But the scariest thing of all, if I'm here to truly face my fears and up the stakes, is vulnerability alone. Which is why I said I'm running away from this piece of paper, which I'll get to right now. It took me a while to find it. This piece of paper is not just any piece of paper. This is one of the first poems I ever wrote. January 19th, 2017. Before I really took rap seriously and knew that'd be a thing I do, and even before I took YouTube seriously, this was one of my first forms of expression. And I will let you know, this is cringy. This is like not the greatest thing ever, but I think the only thing that could beat what I did is to actually be completely vulnerable and express a vulnerable moment without any comedy to, hijack it or safeguard it from expressing emotion. And instead of the 50 people I delivered this to in person, this is to my entire audience of 20,000 people. Get to hear this cringy poem. Okay, here we go. I see the millions of people gathered together like a horde of bees around a honeycomb. I hear the cheers of the people around me like the rooting at a college dome. I smell stuffy hot air at an awkward birthday party. Success is my special place. I can see the lights dancing around me. I can hear the cheering as they let me do my sounds free. I could choose to reach success alone, but without the people that supported me, I wouldn't be able to see how much I've grown. Success is a bunch of phone wires because it's never untangled. You will find that your emotions and ideas will be there just to be mangled. Sometimes the lack of the idea will make you irritable, but most at their worst state come up with miracles. Sometimes your idea of success is not a physical one. Sometimes it is about what an individual's done. Sometimes it is about the pain you tried to hide. Sometimes it is about the times you cried over the ones who've fallen. Sometimes it is about the darkest times where you had to be your own guide. Sometimes it is about the ones who lied to act a Gandhi just to be a Stalin. Sometimes it is about the moments where there is no one by your side. When it is about the moment that you are in your weakest state, all strings untied, you have to look inside and find your special place.
Oh, damn. Hi, I'm Rohan from the channel Rohan and Andy. We just hope you enjoy this channel.
The race was over, but the ride was forever. Good job.